Good day, everyone. So, my name is Warren Ansaan, and we are assigned to discuss or report about the topic entitled The Teacher and the Community. Before anything else, let me introduce my group mates. So, first, we have Carlo Acohido, Miriam Aguanta, Geraldine Ailesna, Melody Antepuesto, Angel May Aranda, Johaide May Bardago, Adonis Arias, Manilyn Malagaytay, Agnes Claire Bayadog, Angeli Cañete, Jedres Cañete, and Rakil Kari. Before we go dig deeper into the topic, which is entitled The Teacher and the Community, let me define what is a teacher and what is a community. So, teacher simply refers to a person who impart or teaches knowledge, especially in school. Um, teachers teachers can touch every individual life, or shall I say, teachers brings positive impact in a certain community, community while community simply refers to a group of people living in the same place. And for that, in this lesson or topic, everyone will know how teachers brings impact or brings change in a certain community positively, or shall I say, everyone will know what is the big role of a teacher in the community. Let me share to you the quote from the Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers in Article 3. A teacher is a facilitator of learning and of the development of the youth. He shall therefore render the best services by providing an environment conducive to such learning and growth. This simply means that teachers must be flexible in a learning process. She or he must be wise and good, especially in decision making or planning to achieve the goal. Uh, Teacher must possess all of his or her competencies in order to become efficient and effective one. Prior to that, teacher has two communities. So first is the teaching community, and the second is the community outside the school. So let's talk about the teaching community. So it refers to, or it consists of his or her fellow teachers, colleagues, and superiors. While the community outside the school, it refers to outside the school, includes parents of the learners and many more. As we all know, teachers is the most or one of the most influential person in a certain community. In order for him or her to become efficient and effective influencer, she must she or he must be equipped with these competencies such as knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Teachers needs to improve too, just like us as a student. They need different trainings, and for that, the NCBTS was born, or the National Competency Based Standards, and other academic institution. Prior to that, this academic institution helps every teachers to become responsible in a teaching learning process.
What is National Competency-Based Teacher Standards? So it is an integrated theoretical framework that defines the different dimensions of effective teaching that would guide to all policies, reforms related to teaching and teacher development. The National Competencies-Based Teacher Standards have a qualities of good teaching that unified under the teaching paradigm, which is knowledge is actively constructed, transformed, discovered, and extended by teachers' performance that work together to improve their teaching. The National Competency-Based Teacher Standards, it draws from many existing positive expressions of a good teaching that found in Philippine experiences. Next is, why do we need the National Competency-Based Teacher Standards? So, we need the National Competency-Based Teacher Standards because every single framework is very helpful, not only for me but also for all teachers, to minimize confusion on how to be effective in teaching as a teacher and desire to become effective facilitating of student learning. Lastly, we need the National Competency-Based Teacher Standards because it provides a better guide for all teachers' development, yes, to be flexible for student learning, to create or to discover new teaching practices, programs, and projects forms to the school level up to national level.
Um, I will discuss about who should use NCBTS or National Competency Based Teacher Standards. So let's proceed. So in TEI or Teacher Education Institution, NCBTS is to design and implement effective pre-service teacher education curricula. And in PRC or Professional Regulation Commission, they use NCBTS in designing the licensure exam for teachers. And in organization and agencies, they implement in service education for teacher or NSET. It shall refer to the NCBTS in developing their interventions. So next one is the award giving bodies. So it is defining their criteria for outstanding teachers. And next one is the department. So they use NCBTS in formulating its hiring, promotion, supervision, and other policies related to teaching professions. Also, it shall use NCBTS to guide its NSET program for teachers. Most important, individual teachers in all the public, elementary, and high school all over the country shall use the NCBTS for the professional development activities like being able to help all types of students learn the different learning goals in the curriculum.
I'm Geraldine Olesna, so I'm going to continue the discussion. And my assigned topic was how should teacher use NCBTS or National Competency Based Teacher Standard. So teacher use NCBTS in many ways. First is as a guide to reflect on their current teaching practice. So NCBTS can also a guide for a teacher to know and to reflect to their current teaching practice. Second, a framework for creating new teaching practice. So, as a teacher, we should not focus only one teaching practice, but also we should also engage many teaching techniques for your student not to have a boring class or to have para ang estudyante na maengganyo pod nimo maminaw. So third is as a guidepost for planning for professional development goals. So NCBTS can be used as a self-assessment tool that help teacher plan for their professional development. For example, using the NCBTS, the teacher can be aware of her strength as a teacher and ensure that she become more consistent in demonstrating her strength. At the same time, she she can plan on develop professional development strategies so that he can improve on her weakness. Next is as a common language for discussing teaching practice with other teacher. So as a teacher, also shared common vocabulary for discussing their teaching practice with and to share their ideas as a teacher and negotiate and create strategy to improve their practices. Second, last is as a guide for thinking critical about whether the teacher current practice are helping student attain the teacher goals for a curriculum. So the best way of NCBTS is used for the competency-based framework is to guide for thinking critically about whether the teacher current practice are helping students attain learning goals in their curriculum.
How does NCBTS help teachers? So, NCBTS is a helpful tool for all teachers who wants to improve their ability to facilitate students' learning. So, teachers who use NCBTS helps them to reflect their current teaching practices or to develop a new teaching practices. So, it serves as a common language for teachers to discuss teaching method with the other teachers. So NCBTS also serves as a guiding post for planning and achieving personal and professional goals. So using NCBTS really helps teachers to be aware of his or her strengths as a teacher and ensure that he or she becomes more consistent in demonstrating his or her strengths, and at the same time he or she can plan on professional development strategies so that he or she can improve his or her weaknesses. So NCBTS also helps each Filipino teacher to become a better teacher and assist each teacher to continuously think about improving professionally to become a better as a facilitators for students learning.
And now I'm going to share with you my thoughts. How does the National Competency Based Teacher Standard define good teaching? NCBTS, or the National Competency Based Teacher Standard, is a tool to all teachers who wants to become an efficient and fully equipped. Also, a well-defined arena for demonstrating positive teachers' practices, as well as defined the desired practice of effective teaching. The NCBTS sets performance indicators classified in appropriate domains and strengths that guide teacher for professional development and for their enhancement of competencies. NCBTS also serve as a common language to discuss teaching with other teachers. By this, from the different dimensions of effective teaching, wherein effective learning means being able to help all types of learners, that they will gain knowledge from the different learning goals in the curriculum. Now, when we talk about nature and quality, NCBTS, or the National Competency Based Teacher Standard, has a big impact as it enables teachers to identify their professional strengths and developmental needs, where it can encourage to take their personal responsibility of their own growth and professional advancement with the goal of promoting students' learning. With the help of NCBTS, teachers has its own consistency, appropriateness, and capability to help her or his students to boost their confidence and building their primary goals and enhance their thinking skills. Lastly, it provides self-awareness to the teachers to be mindful of their premises, rationality, and nature. It is important because when the teacher has its own understanding inside or outside the school, they are able to experience as a unique, to make changes, and to build on the areas of strength, as well as to identify where they would like to make an improvement. That is why the National Competency-Based Teaching Standards, or the NCBTS, define good teaching. For us to remember, the overall attitudes of a teacher and classroom climate may affect students much, more than most techniques, strategies, and interactions.
Now let's talk about the first domain in NCBTS. The first domain is the social regard for learning, or the SRFL. This domain focuses on the ideal that teacher serves as positive and powerful role models. About positive and powerful role models, teacher should possess an active and a healthy relationship towards the students. Teacher's action demonstrate value for learning, so teacher should act appropriately. One, in social regard for learning, or SRFL, the teacher implements school policies and procedures. The teachers should obey and respect the policies and procedures implemented in the school so that the students will do the same thing. And the second one is the teacher demonstrates punctually. As much as possible, teachers should always be punctual all the time. Avoid procrastinating so that the learners will adopt it and do the same thing too. So the next one is the teacher maintains appropriate appearance. As a teacher, you should dress according to what is asked in the school and always avoid scandalous outfit. Be presentable always, because teacher is the daily visual aid of the learners. Maintain proper hygiene and be physically, emotionally, and mentally fit. The last one is the teacher is careful about the effects of one's behavior of the students. Know your students well. Let them answer to something to identify what in multiple intelligences they belong, and to also determine their strengths and weaknesses. So as a teacher, be considerate and flexible all the time so that you can handle your students very well.
I will be discussing the domain 2, which is the learning environment. So, learning environment focuses on importance of providing a social, psychological, and physical environment. What are the things that the teacher should remember? So, number one is the teacher creates an environment that promotes fairness. So, the teacher must know how to make the classroom environment that the students can feel that there is equality and the students can respect and to have courtesy in the classroom. And he or she, the teacher must provide them a chance or opportunities for them to learn different things. And he or she must recognize that the learners have different strengths and weaknesses. and capabilities in learning. Next is the teacher should make the classroom conducive to learning. So the teacher should maintain a clean, a safe, a orderly, and organized classroom that free from obstructions and free from accidents. Then the teacher must know how to arrange the challenging activities given by the teacher, given the physical environment. So the teacher must know how to use different learning materials, resources, or any sample of arts or designs that can be very helpful for the students to learn and explore different things and help them to have idea, the knowledge about a certain topic or lesson. Next is the teacher communicates higher learning expectations to each learner. So the teacher uses individual and different group activities that the students can able to enjoy while they're learning. Then the learners should encourage to ask questions. And the teacher should ask them questions so that the students can develop their higher order thinking skills. That is very important for them. So the teacher also should provide them an opportunity or a chance to experience different things because there is a saying that experience is the best teacher. So through experience, the students can able to learn. Lastly, the teacher must know how to maintain and establish a consistent standard learner's behavior. So the teacher must set different rules and regulations so that he or she can handle different problems, different attitudes, and the different behavior problems quickly. And with due respect to the children's right. Then the teacher must also give them feedback on how the students interact with their classmates and with their teachers and other people around them. So the teacher must also guide the students on how should develop their social skills that that is very important for the students to learn. So the teacher must also communicate school policies and procedures for classroom behavior, and because it is very important that the teacher should give the students a background, a set of background that what are the things that the students should don't need to do when they are in the classroom or in the school. So therefore, learning environment is very important for the learners because at the end of the day, learning, the focus of the learning is the learner. So that's why the teacher must know or know how to provide a classroom environment or learning environment that the students can learn effectively and the students can explore different things, can show their potentials, their skills, their talents, their capacity in learning. So the teacher must also recognize their strengths and weaknesses in order for them to apply different strategies in teaching different learning materials, resources that are very helpful for the students to learn and to meet their needs and to meet the standard quality of education.
So the third domain is diversity of the learners. It emphasizes the ideal that the teacher can facilitate the learning process even with diverse learners. Then, using knowledge about students' differences to design diverse sets of learning activities to ensure that all students can attain appropriate learning goals. So first is the teacher is familiar with the children's background, knowledge, and experiences. So the teacher uses information of the learning style and needs of the learning to design and select learning experiences. Second is established
goals that define appropriate expectation for the learners. Pace the lessons appropriate to needs and or abilities of learners. Second is provides differentiated activities of learners. Third is initiates other learning approaches for learners whose needs have not been met by usual approaches and shows sensitivity to multicultural backgrounds of the learners. Second is the teacher demonstrate concern for holistic development of learners. So the teacher set clear, challenging, and achievable expectation on the holistic development of all the learners. Next is identifies the learning gaps and takes actions to enable learning to catch up. Third is employs integrative and interactive strategies for meaningful and holistic development of learners. The teacher is sensitive to unusual behavior of learners and take appropriate actions and provides opportunities to enhance learners' growth in all aspects. In diversity of learners, it has learning and thinking style that refer to the preferred way of an individual processes of informations. There is sensory preference where the individuals tend to aggravate towards one or two types of sensory inputs and maintain a dominance. Second is the auditory learners is where it learn best through verbal lectures, discussions, talking things through and listening to what others have to say. So that in diversity of learners is a learning with people from a variety of backgrounds and cultures present in the classroom where the students gain more comprehensive understanding of the subject matter and use their own strength and point of view to contribute in a diverse working environment because each students have unique skills, abilities, and needs that to be addressed.
Let's proceed to the fourth domain, which is the curriculum. What comes into your mind when you hear the word curriculum? So it might be lessons, academic content, course, specific learning standards, instructional practice, learning experiences, or a program. So curriculum, it refers to all elements of the teaching learning process that work in convergence. So we must always remember the word elements and convergence. These elements include the teacher's knowledge of the subject matter and the learning process, teaching learning approaches and activities, instructional materials, and learning resources. So in domain 4, there are 7 strands and 22 indicators. So let's jump into the first strand of the domain 4. The first strand is the teacher demonstrates mastery on the subject. So here's the question. Why should a teacher demonstrate mastery on the subject? In order for the teacher to deliver an accurate and clear content, her knowledge is not limited in which she can sustain all of the students' interests and questions. She can explain and expand the topic that even though there are unexpected changes in her lesson plan, she can adjust and make some way to continue delivering the topic. The teacher can think creatively and can integrate content of subject area with other disciplines. The second strand is communicates clear learning goals for the lessons that are appropriate for the learners. The teacher should not set any learning goals or objectives that are difficult to obtain. A teacher should not teach the students a topic or a content that is not appropriate for them. So, to avoid this, the teacher should set clear learning goals and understand that learning goals. So, the third strand, make good use of allotted instructions time. A teacher should prepare a lesson that will not exceed to the allotted instructions time so that all of the activities you prepared can possibly done by that day. So we are now in the fourth strand of the domain 4. Select teaching methods, learning activities, and instructional materials or resources appropriate to learners and aligned materials or to the objectives of the lesson. Therefore, a teacher should utilize instructional materials and prepare such learning activities that is appropriate for the learners. And these can provide the learners a meaningful learning experiences, and for a teacher that is the main goal. So we are now in the strand number 5. So teacher recognizes general learning processes as well as unique processes of individual learners. So in order for the teacher to recognize such learning processes, teachers should design and utilizes teaching methods that can make a good impact on the learning processes. So before we proceed to the next strand, let us first tackle what is a teaching method. A teaching method is a set of orderly, logically arranged steps in teaching. Strand number 6 of the domain 4. Teacher promotes purposive study. So do you have any idea on the things that a teacher should do to promote a purposive study? A teacher should foster or encourage good learning habits to the students and prepare appropriate learning activities and projects. Last but not the least, we are now in the 7th strand of the domain 4. Teacher demonstrates skills in the use of information and communication technology in teaching and learning. A teacher should involve in the new teaching styles and adopt technology and make use of its advances to improve and develop teaching learning process.
So main is the planning assessing report or PAR. It refers to the alignment of assessment and planning activities, and this focuses on the first is the use of assessment data to plan and revise teaching learning plans. Always plan the strategy you will use and always have an option. So if there's an error, you can still proceed to your discussion or to your assessment. Then the second one is the integration of assessment procedures in the plan and implementation of teaching learning activities. So prepare all the procedures and the materials needed for implementation. Third one or the last one is reporting of the learner's achievement, actual achievement and behavior. Always practice observing students' performance, achievement, and behavior to identify if there's improvement in their performance.
Another definition of this domain assessing, planning, and reporting is that it develops and uses a variety of assessment strategies to monitor and evaluate learning. Example for this is the teacher provides an assignments or quizzes after his or her discussions. Through this, the teacher will know if his or her students really understand the discussion that he or she has made. Another definition of this domain is that it provides timely and accurate feedback to learners to encourage them to reflect on and monitor their own learning growth. So as a teacher, you are not just there in front to talk and teach about the different information in this world, about the different things and information about this world, but you are also molding students. You are there to encourage students to learn. You are there to encourage them to pursue and continue their goals in life. You are not called an effective teacher if you will discourage your own students. Another is in this domain, the teacher keeps accurate records of grades, performance, levels of learners. So, as a teacher, you should also grade the performance of your students. And through grading the performance of your students, you will know their strengths and weaknesses. You will know and learn what kind or what particular area your students must excel. So another is in this domain, the teacher conducts regular meetings with learners and parents to report learners' progress. So as a teacher, you should not only expect that you are dealing with kids alone, but you are also dealing with parents. So this happens if the teacher will create a meeting to the parents and discuss about the learner's progress if the students or the child is doing good in academics. Another definition of this domain is that the teacher involves parents to participate in school activities that promote learning. So, as a teacher, your job is not only to encourage your students, but also to encourage parents to participate in school activities that promote learning to show support to their children. And the last definition of this domain is that the teacher monitors regularly and provides feedback on learners' understanding of content. Being a teacher is not an easy job. Having a mastery on the subject matter is good, but you also need to monitor and provide feedback on learners regularly. You also need to encourage students towards their learning. But if you have that heart to teach, that situation will never bother you anymore.
Community linkages focuses on the ideal that classroom activities are meaningfully linked to the experiences and aspiration of the students and their homes and communities. So, this domain focuses on the teacher's efforts directed at strengthening the links between school and community activities. So, particularly as these links help in the attainment of the curricular objectives. So, this domain strengthen the links between school and the community. So, what can community linkages do? So, it can interconnect together many resources and strategies to enhance communities that support all youth and their families. It could improve schools and strengthen the neighborhoods to support all youth and families and to enhance effectiveness. So, common community linkages. So, parents, teachers, LGUs, NGOs, civic organizations, and other residents. So, the school can enjoy linkages and networking activities with international, national, and local organizations in the community for mutual benefits and assistance needed to fully realize its objective of delivering quality educational services for the country's youth.
Next, we have the Domain 7, the personal growth and professional development. So, in this domain, it emphasizes the ideal that teachers value having a high personal regard, concern for professional development, and continuous improvement as a teacher. So, when we say personal growth, it covers activities that improves awareness and identity, and it develops talents and potential. Then professional development, it is learning to earn or maintain professional credentials such as academic degree to formal coursework, conferences, and informal learning opportunities. Then this includes professional growth and performance evaluation component. So, the features of professional growth and performance plan are links professional development to student academic performance and school improvement, guides self-reflection and self-assessment, and also fosters collaborative review and planning. Performance standards of a teacher, it includes learning environment. So the teachers provides a well-managed, safe, student-centered environment. Next, we have the data-driven planning. So the teachers uses data to plan appropriate curricula and implement instructional strategies. Next is instructional delivery. So the teacher increases student learning by delivering instruction that reflects individual learning differences. Then we have communication. The teacher communicates effectively with students, staff, parents or guardians, as well as the community. Assessment. The teachers consistently develop and analyze formal and informal assessment data to measure students' progress and guide immediate and long-range instruction. So last, we have professionalism. The teachers maintains a professional demeanor, participates in professional growth opportunities, and as well as contributes to the profession. The goal of this domain is to help us manage our own learning and growth throughout our career. It is important that we continue to learn and develop to keep our skills and knowledge up to date and ensure us continue work safely, legally, and effectively. That will be all. Thank you.